I was gonna do something special for Christmas up until I realized that Christmas has been over for days, and this ain't something I'd play for Christmas either. So yeah, just bear with me for a second here, all right? Ah yes, zombies, gaming's most generic yet loved enemies, right alongside the Russians and the Nazis. They are both loved, hated, and everything in between. During that one era where games were getting shot out of the factories at max speed to meet investors' demands, games of the era had a lot of criticisms, such as being too flat, too generic, too boring, too easy, you get it. And there were games that were trying very hard to stay up in the rat race. Left 4 Dead's Bass Salt Hobo Zombies, COD Zombies, Killing Floor, etc. come to mind. Those games make it up with the gameplay. They're addictive, fun, really well balanced, and have plenty of funny characters for the cherry on the cake. However, another game stands out from the pile with its atmosphere instead of its gameplay specifically, and that is No More Room in Hell, a free standalone Half-Life 2 modification. The game first started out as a simple old mod on MonDB for Half-Life 2, released on Halloween of 2011, to a pretty good criticism. That eventually evolved and we got a Steam release in 2013 that's still getting outdated to this day. So you boot up the game, get greeted by music that sounds like the screams of the damned, open up the good old source server browser, navigate through all of the modded Chinese and Korean servers with like 300 plus ping, and finally find some server that kinda looks acceptable. While the game is loading, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but the first time I played this, I was like 13, and I was just really fucking scared of that main menu guy. Especially since I came from shit like Left 4 Dead where you're mowing down like 4,000 while the Mardi Gras attendees. So anyway, the game's loaded, and you have to wait for like 30 hours for the guys that are alive to either die or reach a checkpoint. Feel free to get a drink or some popcorn in the meanwhile. You know what, I think we should talk about something else first instead. The game runs on a Source engine, so obviously we're gonna have to talk about the graphics and the jankiness. The graphics are acceptable, I guess, for the Source engine. The lighting is pretty good and the shadows look pretty well made. So do the particle effects on guns and like lights and other stuff. But most textures are reused from Half-Life 2. The zombies look acceptable, I guess. There is a wild difference between how they look in-game and the concept arts. And the character models look like shit for the most of them. There's a few of them to choose and they all look about as much of a degenerate as the last one. You can also select voices for your character, but sadly most of them have a British accent. But the objectively best ones are either the Mike Tsaruhas ones, the closest thing us humans are ever gonna get to the voice of God, or you can download that one add-on on the workshop that adds the voice of Coach from Left 4 Dead. Alright! The game has two modes, survival and objective. The former is pretty simple. You gotta defend your base from the zombies who are actually undercover IRS criminal investigation officers that are here for your undeclared revenue. You gotta defend the map and don't let them take over the control points or else you lose. Every few waves a female helicopter shows up and drops down supplies for you to grab. It's fine and all, but maybe instead of wasting resources on some dumbasses who are probably gonna die, why not maybe, I don't know, rescue them? Anyway, the other mode is called Objective. It has you and your friends complete, you guessed it, objectives, up until you reach the end of the map. This game is very depressing, and by that I don't mean that it's shit, it's actually pretty good. I mean, everything is really in your face, dark and desolate. You see, nowadays everyone keeps talking about how my game is more dark, gritty and more realistic, but most of the time it doesn't really hold a candle to this game. You're not some super badass survivors, you're just some average Joes trying to survive another day.
Go through the house. I played this map before. The Russian just doesn't because he's fucking retarded.
God damn! The music is pretty sad, ammo is very limited, and there's not a lot of guns going around, which is very unrealistic for America. Levels are almost always set at night. There's child zombies.
Oh, it's a child.
The streets are literally filled to the brim with zombies who are trying to eat you.
Zombie right now, pal. Look, mira. Yeah, fuck. I missed every shot, but it doesn't matter.
If a zombie grabs you and bites you, you've got like a 50% chance of getting infected, which is shown by the veins on your screen. And in that case, you've got a few options. Number one is just turning into a zombie and let it turn on your friends, which is always funny to watch as the zombie is about as retarded as he was before it turned. Option 2 is to get your schizo meds, which kill you for about 5 minutes before you start going monkey mode again. Option 3 is using the vaccine, which makes you fully immune to bites. However, it's really rare to find, and also you've got like a chance of turning blind as a side effect. Option 4 only works if it's enabled by the server, which is letting your friends put you out of your own misery.
Now, please, no, look, I gotta... Fucking fuck.
I didn't get the achievement, that sucks.
And finally, option 5, the most based one, is turning your own firearm against you and pulling the trigger. Yes, shooting yourself is an actual game mechanic. Looks like I really picked the wrong game for the holidays, huh? Anyway, enough Doomer talk, let's talk about something else, like weapons and guns. Yeah, everyone likes those, right? I think. There's a few self-defense tools in this game. You'll mainly be using melee weapons for that, and there's quite a lot of them, like shovels, fire axes, pickaxes, machetes, crowbars. There's kitchen knives and wrenches, which are so useless it's not even funny. The bigger the weapon, the more stamina it takes to attack, run and jump. I get it that they're in a physically demanding scenario, but these guys must have really skipped cardio. There's also the most based option, which are your fists, and it takes a stupid amount of effort to kill a zombie by punching. There's also an achievement which you can get by punching to death 1000 zombies, but I mean like, what? Like, how the fuck do you even do that? What? And as for firearms, well, if you manage to actually get one instead of having everyone else steal them from right under you, you'd notice that there's quite a lot of them, like Glocks, M9s, shotguns, M16s, MP5s, etc. Most of them are generic video game guns though, they don't really stand out. They sound good, hit hard, and are actually pretty well animated. But like I said before, there isn't as much ammo going around, so like Caesar from New Vegas said, don't rely too much on firearms. Oh yeah, and unless you're blind, you probably noticed that there's barely any HUD in this game. No ammo indicator. If you wanna check how much ammo you got in a mag, hold on R and you'll know. Wanna see what you're packing, hold on 1 and to open your inventory. And the only way to check your health is by noticing the color of your screen. Nothing on your screen stays on forever, and they only stay for about as long as you need them for. Oh yeah, and there's also the workshop. There's some pretty good add-ons, most of them being gun reskins. Though sadly the weebs seems to have invaded it, so there's that. What else? Oh yeah, there's also custom campaigns, and they range from either very good to just weird. So yeah, like most co-op games, just gather up some people and play and have some fun. Just make sure to turn off team damage before you all start fucking shooting each other.
You'll never take me alive!
For closing, I'd like to quote more Steam reviews. 10 out of 10, you shoot kids. That was a joke, by the way. Please don't arrest me, please. I was just fucking joking. Please don't no.